Welcome to the Green Wisdom Health Podcast with Dr. Stephen and Janet Lewis, where you will learn about natural solutions to common ailments. And now, here are your hosts, Dr. Stephen and Janet Lewis.
Hello, and welcome to this week's edition of the Green Wisdom Health Show. I'm Janet Lewis.
And I'm Dr. Lewis.
And today we are going to discuss with one of our favorite guests that we have come in from time to time, Casey.
Apparently it's one of your favorites too, so thank you for the feedback. Yeah,
I know. He is good. We learn so much, and people are really understanding differences in products because of him. But today he's going to talk with us about is your toxic burden stopping your weight loss? And you're probably going, what's toxic burden? Well, many people are very burdened with so many toxins, and then they go and try to lose weight, and their body's going, oh, please, I can't do this. So he's going to discuss why that could be happening. Of course, Dr. Lewis is going to chime in with his isms of health, and hopefully tie all this together for you with a lot of fun. So, Casey, welcome.
Thank you. Always a pleasure to be here.
You know, we learned so much about fish oil the last time, and I can't tell you, the collagen story has really helped so many people. It walk into the store, they're like, I take collagen. What makes yours different? I'm like, I know this because of Casey.
And those are huge differentiators that are ultimately going to affect how people feel taking their products.
I actually had a lady that came in and said, I'm taking this, I'm already on collagen, because she had knee pain really bad. And I said, this is different. She goes, well, why? Collagen's collagen. And I explained to her, no, it was not. So she purchased it, and then she came in 2 days later. I wasn't here, and Brandy said, she actually walked up to me and said, does this stuff really work? And Brandy said, yes, it works. And she goes, my knee pain is totally gone. And I thought it might be in my head. And so, yeah, you're absolutely right.
Might also be in her collagen.
Yeah, exactly. So today we're going to discuss a few products that help with eliminating toxins, right, I guess, yep, and can help with weight loss and the differences between them. Which one do you want to start with?
Well, I think first we should kind of paint the picture of when you mention toxic burden and weight loss and potentially thwarting somebody's efforts to lose weight, what that actually means. A good picture to have in your head is, we all have a toxic burden. Our environment is very toxic. Our body produces toxins there's byproducts of processes in the body that the body needs to get rid of. These things accumulate in the body. Specifically, they accumulate in fat. So if you take let's just say a 200-pound frame, and you want to shrink that frame down to 150 pounds, and you start losing weight and you're feeling great, weight's coming off, but you don't do anything to address that toxic burden that you have, you've essentially just condensed that burden from a 200-pound frame down into a 150-pound frame, and now the body's kind of like, what's going on here? We need to take some protective measures, and the best thing that the body can do for itself in order to deal with the toxic burden is to put additional fat on, again, because these toxins are harvested in fat. So if you're losing weight and you've plateaued and can't lose any more, it's likely because your body's gone into a protective state to make sure that we're not overburdening a smaller frame with that pre-existing toxic burden.
And that's one of the reasons that your liver enzymes can go sky high, because your liver gets clogged up, phase 1, phase 2, and can't really dump it. So it should be kind of a slow process. And people say, well, what's this got to do? You're a chiropractor. What's this got to do with musculoskeletal? Everything. So we'll talk a little bit more about metabolic syndrome and diabetes and insulin resistance.
Well, you know, that goes back with Casey, what you said. The lady with the knee pain had actually lost a lot of weight. Mm-hmm. She had been on this diet that we looked up.
That's a roll your eyes, God, I can't believe you're doing this kind of diet. But still, it was working.
They're losing weight, but they're eating like these candy bar things, and they're like 100 calories, I think, at a time, and that's all they're giving them. But the candy bars are like really bad, the ingredients.
It's got bad ingredients.
Vegetable oils and...
Right, and she had lost a bunch of weight, and then her knees started hurting really bad. So you're right. I mean, it's toxins that apparently have gathered and can't escape.
Right. They get freed up, and they're circulating in the body, and they're looking for other tissues to settle in. And the scary part about that is some of the fattier tissues in the body, like you think about the brain, these are the areas that these toxins are looking to seek out. So again, the body's putting back on fat tissue to protect these vital organs.
Nobody cares about the brain. If you say, well, it's the fat deposits in your breast and that's going to
or the hair,
more toxins, then they go, oh my God, my breast.
Yeah, it's hair and weight.
Well, the brain's a little important too.
Oh yeah, well maybe you need to remember why.
Yeah, some people need to think with it, but that's another thing. Just a little research thrown in. Here's one about zinc and insulin sensitivity, or actually lack of zinc. And I've said this many, many times, too much sugar equals fewer vegetables, equals less zinc, equals poor taste, equals more sugar. So you want to stimulate that by eating more sugar, and it's a vicious cycle. That's from Journal of Nutrition. It can be so much different things. Improved insulin response and action by chronic magnesium administration. And this is from Diabetes Care. So magnesium's really important, and it has a lot to do with digestive enzymes. And magnesium is one of the major missing minerals. And, Casey can talk more and more about that, do the technical stuff. But let's get into it and let's see what we can figure out here. And what are you missing? That's the key. So y'all pay attention to this. So, and I want to thank you. I know I'm off topic already, but I just talked to a guy in Kansas.
I think he could have his own show just by himself without us, Casey.
Well.
Conversation with Dr. Lewis.
Yeah, I just talked to Jeremy up in Kansas. And, Jeremy's up there, has been doing this several years, and he's just really incredible. He's real nice. He's real sweet. And thank you for your trust. The people that get results are the ones that hear something, their intuition speaks, they listen to their discerning spirit, and they just go from there. And so, be like Jeremy. Jeremy's just up there getting better and better results and being very quiet, but it's consistency of action. And that's why Janet loves me. It's not because I told her I loved her. It's not one kiss. It's not, one hug. It's consistency. So if you want good health, you have to be consistent.
Cool. So, all right. Thank you for that. So now we're back over Casey. We were discussing how the weight loss thing has got to do with the toxins. Okay, so you've lost some weight, and now these toxins are stuck. What do we do?
Nutritionally, there's a handful of things that you can do. First, detox happens in two primary phases, and actually now there's a third one that's being talked about more. Phase one, essentially you have these little liver enzymes called cytochrome P450 enzymes. They seek out the toxins and they essentially flag them. And in doing so, they create something called an intermediary metabolite. And it's actually these metabolites that are more dangerous than the original toxin. You think about like estrogen metabolism. Estrogen itself as a hormone isn't necessarily dangerous, but it's the metabolites generated by your body to get rid of these toxins that can be pushed down the wrong pathway and create very dangerous metabolites. The second phase, or this phase 2 of detoxification, talks about these liver pathways essentially, or conjugation pathways that are then identify these flagged toxins and can then turn them, kind of push them through the pathways and kind of turn them into these water soluble compounds that are then ready to be excreted from the body. Now phase 3, which is the emphasis of one of the new products that we introduced, Enviro Detox, is actually, so what happens is when we get these toxins, these are called conjugated, consider them conjugated, they're bound up, they're dumped into the gut lumen. Now what? We want to make sure that we are facilitating the elimination of these things via urine and stool primarily. We don't want them to become unconjugated and pushed back into circulation. So that's where using some of the binders, some of the zeolite clays, the activated charcoal, shilajit, which is just these are minerals have a heavy affinity for different things in the digestive tract that we're trying to make sure are being bound up and eliminated from the body rather than pushed back into circulation.
Oh, I can tell you, since we've added in that product, that, of course, I take all this. I have to try it out, right?
Right.
The combination of Enviro Detox and DEM Plus have been great because the DEM Plus is pulling out the bad estrogens.
Right.
And then I guess you could explain that.
It's DEM is making sure that estrogen estrogens are being pushed down that right pathway. So there's 3 primary metabolites that are generated when your body's trying to detoxify or metabolize estrogen. You have your 2-hydroxy, which are your good metabolites. You have your 4, which are and then you have your 16-alpha, which are the bad ones that you really want to watch out for. DIM is making sure that we're promoting the healthy estrogen of those metabolites or estrogen metabolism and creating those 2-hydroxy metabolites.
And that's why Janet and I talk about liver function, and it has a great deal to do with the microbiome of your gut. And Janet talks about bowel movements, because if it's sluggish, these conjugated hydroxy estrogens will unconjugate and go back to the bad one, and then you reabsorb it in the small intestine. So that's why bowel motility is very important, and having it bound up so that it happens to a lesser degree.
And bowel motility means having a bowel movement every time you eat a meal, 30 minutes to an hour afterward is optimal.
And Janet told me many, many times, said, quit being so technical. I said, well, if you're eating 3 times, you need to be pooping 2 or 3 times. Elimination is incredibly important. So, we can help with that.
And the DIM detox, what Casey's talking about in a very scientific manner, for women, what it means is that you get your shape back. Because your body starts storing that excess fat around the top where your shirts don't fit like they used to.
You don't have that extra lump of fat, under your arm and toward your back. And we know this detoxification is working. And I've said this before, because Casey is still uncommonly handsome. It's working.
Well, men seem to get by with that easier.
Men don't be afraid of the DIM either. It's really important.
Not
only make sure that we're not converting testosterone to estrogens.
Yep.
And it helps with prostate function. When my MD says, Dr. Lewis, your prostate feels like a 25-year-old. He says, what are you doing? I said, nutrition. You wouldn't understand. Get out of there. You're having too much fun. It was the DIM. DIM helps keep the prostate healthy, which keeps the musculoskeletal. I go back to that.
And it gets rid of the men boobs. Which
I don't have.
Because if your boobs are bigger than your wife's, then you might want to check out DIM, because you're not supposed to have that because you're drinking light beer.
She said that to a guy one time, and he looked and said, well, I don't want my 12-year-old to think his dad has man boobs. And then we saw the same guy, months later, and he looked at Janet and said, I've gone to dark beer because it has less of those estrogens.
Right. So I know, scientific. Sorry, Casey.
Who's getting off the rabbit trail, Janet?
I'm just making this simple.
Go dark beer.
Okay.
I can't talk in these high tech conversations. I get it. What happens whenever you take it, and women, you also get flatter stomachs from it because it quits storing it there too. So okay.
Those are important things to consider if you're trying to lose weight. Is hey, let's make sure that we're doing something to optimize my body's ability to detoxify. Okay,
so then our detox comes in because it's pulling off all the bad toxins from what DIM.
Yeah, all the work your body is doing to detoxify, to conjugate these toxins and dumping them in the digestive tract. It's making sure that we're getting these things out of the body, as well as helping to pull heavy metals and pull organic or pull agricultural byproducts, things like glyphosate out of the body, get rid of mycotoxins and other things you don't want hanging out.
Okay, so that's detoxing, so to speak. I want to talk a little bit about carnitine also, because I know carnitine, I don't know, that stuff just makes you feel good.
Yeah.
It gives you like so much more stamina. So when you are in the middle of trying to lose weight and stuff, you get kind of sluggish because, well, frankly, you're cutting back on what you've been eating, and you're not getting the
energy,
the endorphins or whatever from the food.
Yep.
So, but carnitine it's just been a game changer for us, for people with energy, for stamina. Our daughter takes it when she goes to work. She works in the hospital, and she's like, oh my gosh, I have all this stamina from carnitine.
And even though she's recently hired, they've already offered her to be the manager over the entire program.
Because she can move fast from carnitine. And many other things. She's just smart.
And she had the flu the other day, and she had the headache from, oh my God. And I said, here, take carnitine. Boom, her head pain was gone in 30 minutes.
Yeah, stuff's great. So can you tell us what carnitine does? Because all I know is it makes you feel really good.
Yeah, well, carnitine is something that we consume in the diet the carnitine deficiencies aren't necessarily rare. You do see it more in vegetarian and vegan populations. We can make it inside of our bodies from the amino acids lysine and methionine, but carnitine is really unique. It's found in heavy concentrations in energy dense tissues, right? So think of muscle tissue, think of the heart, think of the liver, think of the brain. And what it does in these tissues is it basically plays shuttle to free fatty acids, and it essentially delivers them to your mitochondria. Your mitochondria are your little batteries that run every single cell in the body. So in car terms, for instance, carnitine is kind of your fuel pump that's helping to pull gas out of the tank and deliver it to the engine where you actually need it, and your car can use it and produce energy. So it's a really effective natural way to ramp up energy production at a cellular level by essentially delivering or enriching that fuel source that's being delivered to your mitochondria.
I know one thing, there's times when you could drink like a whole pot of coffee and it would not affect you the way the carnitine does, as y'all are having coffee over here. But I mean, it's a different energy. I mean, the coffee's like, yeah, it wakes you up.
Well, it's not a stimulating. It's not in any means stimulant. So you're not going to get the jitters. You're not going to get the crashes. It's just a really clean, sustained improvement in overall energy production. So everything from neurotransmitter production to your body's capacity for detoxification, obviously tissue repair, cardiac function, endothelial function. These are the areas where you're seeing weight loss. Mm-hmm. These are the areas, and even fertility, specifically male fertility. These are all the areas where you've seen good outcomes with carnitine supplementation.
Oh, they help with male.
Mm-hmm.
Sperm count. I put a lot of people on carnitine and a good vitamin E, and there's several others that you can take in their sperm count, and that is a huge problem in America today. Mm-hmm. We're down to about barely enough sperm count on the average to impregnate a woman. People say, well, it just takes one sperm. No, it takes a lot because of the enzyme system. So we can increase the sperm count for those that have really low. And we got babies all over the country. People say, well, I couldn't get pregnant. Now I am.
I didn't know carnitine raised the sperm count.
Sperm count,
Big
sperm
time.
motility, and sperm morphology are all positively affected by carnitine supplementation. The testes are they're working hard, and they need the energy. And
as Casey says that with a grin on his face.
That's such trouble, I know, for you guys to have to work so hard.
Well, you want strong swimmers.
Well, chalk that one out. I like carnitine, your particular carnitine, because it's pretty. And can you tell us why? I thought it was in a white powdery form, and y'all's is not a white powdery form. It's this pretty little gel, and it's clear, and it's got this liquid floating around.
And that's a little nitrogen bubble just to stabilize the raw material, so we don't have issues with oxidation. It's not going rancid. Liquid carnitine is always going to be, as far as supplementing is concerned, is always going to be the most effective way to get the most carnitine as possible into the body. Ours is a 100% pure L-carnitine, so it's bioidentical to what's produced in the body. There's other forms out there, whether it's acetyl-L-carnitine or carnitine tartrate, carnitine fumarate. These different forms of carnitine, while they might be effective as a supplement, they're not pure carnitine. So essentially you have to take more to get an equivalent dose as if you were taking L-carnitine as a liquid. Mm-hmm. And ours, as well, it's not a liquid that you drink because carnitine tastes terrible for those who have tried carnitine liquid. We actually use a rapidly dissolving capsule that basically quickly breaks down, so it's like taking a liquid. It is a liquid, encapsulated liquid. It's like taking a liquid, you just don't have to taste it.
I love it. That you don't want to take that after about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, though, because it does ramp you up. You have sustained energy, and what it does help with for weight loss, it allows you to have the energy to get outside and take a walk, to do something extra than what you only could get to the couch before to do.
And internally, it's just helping with fatty acid oxidation. So it's helping your body utilize fat as an energy source. So you're breaking down more fat.
Cool. Okay. So that's one y'all probably have not heard about. Another one that we want to talk a couple of things we want to talk about. Selenium we have what we call active selenium, which on our lab we give people that whenever we're trying to raise their T4 levels on their thyroid. We also have something called thyroid essentials. Sometimes people get confused about which one they need to take, which one helps with weight loss, which one's best. Can you tell us the difference in your selenium, what it does, versus why you would do that versus the thyroid essentials?
Well, from a manufacturer's perspective, our selenium is different in the fact that it's a yeast-derived selenium. So there's selenium naturally occurs as seleniumethionine or selenomethionine, which is how you consume it in your diet. A lot of what you buy in your retail supplements as selenium are synthetic forms.
Meaning they don't absorb well.
Right, your body kind of does not know what to do with them. The selenium that we use is a yeast-derived selenium, and it's this fermentation. Actually, it produces selenium. It produces selenium as selenomethionine, and it produces it at a very high concentration. So again, the actual selenium content of your product might not be what you think it is, because you take like a selenium citrate, it might only be 35% actual elemental selenium, where our selenomethionine derived from yeast is of much higher concentration.
Can you talk about, derived from yeast? And I have people say, but I have too much yeast in my GI tract. I said, no, different thing. Can you elaborate on that?
And a lot of dietary supplement ingredients, a lot of your drugs that you're taking are using a fermentation manufacturing process, whether they're using bacteria or they're using yeast like Saccharomyces cerevisiae to ferment. It might be beets, it might be corn, it might be anything. And in doing this, they're able to use this process to extract whatever molecule or compound that they're going after. You're not adding more yeast into your diet by consuming a yeast-based or a yeast-derived selenium.
Yeah, that's good, because some people, they say, well, hey, I'm allergic to sulfur. It's no, you're allergic to sulfa drugs, so you're okay if you can eat an egg or an onion or something that has high content of sulfur. So just don't be confused, and always go to somebody you can trust to ask the question.
Sure. But selenium, as it relates to thyroid gland function, well, just overall in the body, there's 25 different proteins that your body synthesizes that needs selenium. And it's a really, really important precursor to different glutathione peroxidases, which the thyroid gland is heavily reliant upon to detoxify a byproduct of thyroid hormone production, which is hydrogen peroxide. If you accumulate too much hydrogen peroxide in your thyroid gland, it can cause issues. So you need selenium to produce this antioxidant, excuse me, that's able to kind of clean up these byproducts. It's also, there's another iodinase that is selenium dependent that is responsible for or needed to convert inactive T4 into active T3. So it might, your thyroid issues might be as simple as adding a little bit of additional selenium into your daily regimen.
And aren't those the ones that say, well, I have Hashimoto's, I can't take iodine?
Are you saying instead of thyroid essentials, do the active selenium for people that have Hashimoto's? Is that what you're saying?
Well, here's the problem. I've read literally dozens of books from so-called thyroid experts, and they'll say different things. And some people say you can't take iodine because if you have Hashimoto's, because that's like throwing gasoline on the fire. Well, if you put it with the right ratio of tyrosine and selenium, these people do not have any problems with the thyroid essentials.
Your thyroid gland specifically needs iodine.
Absolutely.
Iodine hormone, to produce thyroid hormone. To produce thyroid hormone, your body needs two critical components that are iodine and tyrosine. Yes. And yes, there is some research out there that suggests that if you throw iodine at somebody who has an autoimmune thyroid condition like Hashimoto's, you can you can exacerbate their issues. They think they spin out, they lose their hair, they gain a bunch of weight, or they lose a bunch of weight. That is true to some extent in the presence of selenium deficiencies.
Interesting.
And it takes different B vitamins to make that conversion from T4 to T3, and most people are B deficient. So,
So you're saying
it's
you may
complicated.
be missing B vitamins and selenium, the reason why the iodine would bother an autoimmune problem. Is that
Very,
what you're...
very, very often, yes.
Oh, very interesting. Huh. So
Thyroid Essentials is a great product. It's a great kind of, I call it kind of like a thyroid-focused multivitamin, and that there's a lot of different factors that can influence thyroid gland function or your body's ability to convert TSH into T3 or T4, or your body's ability to convert T4 into T3. That's where Thyroid Essentials is focused in kind of all of these areas. It's helping your body not only produce, or it's helping your thyroid gland not only produce hormones, but it's helping your body convert inactive hormone into active hormone.
Okay.
It's helping to kind of mitigate some of the other factors that are potentially detrimental, not potentially, that are detrimental to the functioning of the thyroid gland.
And some of these, or maybe all of these nutrients we're talking about, it also goes into metabolic syndrome and diabetes and insulin resistance, because, that's true. Selenium from Journal of Molecular Cell Biochemistry, and it talks about magnesium, which I mentioned, and zinc and copper, calcium, magnesium, chromium, vanadium. It's a complicated thing, and that's why, we suggest you get your lab work so we can have some kind of clue of what's going on, and then be consistent.
So you're saying that just taking selenium by itself, if you had like an autoimmune problem, might not be as well-rounded as doing the Thyroid Essentials that's kind of dumping maybe all the other things in you might have been missing to start with to help the thyroid function, right?
I personally agree with that, but I take straight magnesium, I take straight zinc, I take straight selenium, because it is very, very missing in some other disease processes. So, I want to make sure I have
both of them.
Yes.
I take Thyroid Essentials and selenium because I think you need both of them, and I feel better doing both of them for some reason.
And because, as Casey talked about, the microvilli in the intestines or the lumen, sometimes you need a lot of product there to get enough absorbed to do the body some good and make that transport into the cells.
Especially if you're insulin resistant or have diabetes, because it takes more product to get through that.
And that's why we check insulin on people's labs, which most doctors don't, because I don't care. If you've got insulin resistance, you've got the musculoskeletal problems, you've got the tendency toward diseases, and you have poor absorption. So we have to deal with that.
And what doctor?
I would say smokers too, especially with selenium.
Yes.
You see, if you smoke, you're likely selenium deficient. If you have chronic GI issues, IBD, Crohn's ulcerative colitis, you're likely selenium, among other minerals, among other micronutrients, deficient. But there are certain people who might be, better off with taking more selenium.
And we're talking about weight loss, and the diabetes, the insulin resistance, the sugar levels. You start going low glycemic foods, and even CoQ10 drops sugar levels 31% in a diabetic. So, you take CoQ10 for your heart. Well, your heart has the process or the responsibility of shunting more blood through all the way down to the capillaries to deliver the nutrients that you need for better health.
Well, when Dr. Lewis is talking about insulin resistance, for those of you that are not aware of what we do in our lab work, most of the times when you go to the doctor, they run your glucose levels, and that's just like what you did the day before, basically,
or
what
that,
you
or that
ate.
minute.
Yeah, or that minute. And then some people get an A1C, which is a 3-month blood sugar average, and we have literally had people that are over 200 pounds come in with a perfect A1C, which means their blood sugar levels look great. But insulin, like Dr. Lewis is talking about, which is another test we run, tells us if they're headed toward being a diabetic, because while they may be good with their pancreas now, if it's on the higher end with the insulin, that means the pancreas is running, trying to keep up with your body, and at some point it's going to say, hey, I quit. And then you will be a diabetic. And that's what we see many times with people that are overweight that have perfect A1Cs, their insulin is way high. So you know you're not eating correctly, and it's just a matter of time before it craters. So that's what we're trying to help prevent by using some of these supplements. Right, guys? Yes. Okay. One other one I want to talk about very quickly, because we don't have much time left in our show. Every time Casey comes here, it's like, oh my gosh, we have so much to say, is Stress Adapt.
Yeah.
Why would someone need Stress Adapt to help with their weight loss and energy levels, toxic burden?
Well, I don't think you can talk about thyroid gland function without addressing stress. Talking about two systems in the body between the HPA, which is your stress response, and the HPT, which is your thyroid functioning. You'll notice the two common glands that they share are the hypothalamus and the pituitary gland. If you're lit up over here, if you're constantly stressed, and we're talking not just mentally emotional stress, I know we've talked about this on the past in the show, but glycemic dysregulation, which you just mentioned, inflammation, sleep issues, there's a lot of different stressors, toxic burden, that will keep you lit up over here on the HPA side. And if you're kind of allocating all your resources to your stress response, it doesn't leave much over here for your thyroid gland to operate correctly. So taking something like Stress Adapt alongside of Thyroid Essentials, which is going to help kind of buffer the stress response over here, kind of decrease the overall cortisol response that you have. And cortisol is being driven by all of these different factors. If you can kind of quiet down the HPA axis, it just allows for more optimal functioning of, or kind of frees up the resources that allows for the HPT axis to do what it needs to do.
So you don't get set off so easy by little things in life that, like gas prices and things that way, right?
Yeah. I don't know if that's avoidable, but they are, everything is interconnected. So I mean, if you want to truly address the kind of your thyroid issues, we have to take a look at over kind of what are these stressors in your life that can potentially be addressed. And something with like Stress Adapt is something that's just gonna help you do that. Obviously, there's lifestyle modifications that are needed. There's dietary modifications that are needed, but this is just something, again, that's just kind of help you better cope, your body physiologically better cope and better deal with some of these things.
A buffer.
So with being overweight and being diabetic or insulin resistant, the inability to lose weight has you so tired that you can't make it to the Oklahoma line, then you need to call us. And we're from Texas, so that's a saying down here. Well, I'm so poor, I'm so tired, I can't make it to the Oklahoma line. So that's why you should do something good so that you can live your best life right now.
Yes. Casey, thank you for being a guest on our show again today. We always learn so much. And for those of you that have no clue where your levels are on your lab because you can't afford it, or they don't run any of the things that we're talking about today on the show, guess what? We do. And we do it all across the United States very inexpensively and tell you exactly what to take for your nutritional supplements, so we take the guesswork out. You can get started by going to greenwisdomhealth.com, fill out the health survey. It will lead you to a lab panel, and you can start having a life worth living. And we appreciate you listening to our show. We'll be here next time on the Green Wisdom Health Show. You guys have a blessed week.
Once again, our show has come to an end, but your hope in your health is only beginning. If you or a loved one are in need of a different outcome and are waiting for a brighter future, take the first step and go to our website and fill out the health survey. Please don't keep us a secret. If you know someone that could benefit from this podcast, please share this show with your friends and family. You are only one step away from a life worth living.